This new normal has many of us wearing personal protective equipment to keep us safe. Here I have the mask that I wear when I go to the grocery store and outside of my business as well and outside of my home. But it has led to an irritation of skin for some people. Joining us today to talk about some of these issues and what we can do to keep them in check, we have Dr. Susan Matheson back with us from Catalyst Medical Center and Clinical Spa. Dr. Matheson, thank you for joining us again.
Hi, Lisa. How are you doing?
I am great. Well, this is interesting, and I know I've heard a lot of people say, it's sometimes even just hard to breathe and to hear people when they're wearing their masks. But what are some of the issues that you're hearing from people as we are, wearing different things than we have in the past?
Right. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that, and then I'm also gonna talk about some skin manifestations of the virus itself. So basically, the mask can cause such pressure, especially like the N95s that you see, and you have probably seen pictures of healthcare workers who have to keep those on 24 hours a day when they're at work, and they get very rashy around their nose and their cheeks, and pressure indentations. And really, the best things to do with that are, to keep the skin well moisturized. The virus also doesn't really like it when your skin is well moisturized. So, I'm a big fan of this HA5. It's a hyaluronic acid moisturizer. And then sometimes I'll even put a facial mist over. So if you're wearing a mask, that can be super helpful for your skin. If you do get a rash, if it's most likely either a pressure rash or a contact dermatitis. If the rash is really itchy and red, it might be a contact dermatitis, especially if you're wearing kind of the medical grade type masks. And you may need to switch to another mask because sometimes you can get like a little allergic reaction to your mask. But most of what we're seeing is actually kind of the pressure and just, they need to fit tightly if you're in a healthcare situation. So, minimizing pressure. Sometimes people, can use some medical grade tape over their nose so the mask still fits tightly, but they have a little bit of skin protection. So, but Lisa, I also wanted to mention that there's some signs, and I think your producer created a little picture too of, sometimes the virus can actually give us signs. And so there's 4 different skin conditions that I want you to be on the lookout for. One is kind of a pimply type rash, and that is what we call kind of a viral exanthem, and it can happen with lots of different rashes. The second one is kind of a mottled rash. We call that, a livido type rash, and or livido, and it's kind of like your skin, is mottled. It's kind of got some whitish areas and some purplish areas, and it looks just kind of funky. The other thing that can happen is you can get hives. A lot of us know what hives are, but there's a picture. And then the fourth thing that can happen is you can kind of get purplish red toes, almost like you're getting frostbite. And so the toes and the mottled rash seem to indicate some kind of vascular problem that the virus is causing. So those are some things to look out for, especially if you've never had that kind of rash before, that can be an indication of a viral infection, and something definitely to mention to doctors. The dermatology community is kind of together and kind of noting different things that can happen with the virus. And so, that's something for everybody to be aware of.
That is super interesting, and you're right, we're just learning more and more. So if you do notice any of these things, obviously we don't want people just to run to the ER. It's a good idea to give your provider a call.
Absolutely.
And there's so many virtual appointments now.
There's free screenings at both of the big health systems. You can certainly call Catalyst if you have any questions as well. And there's some drive-through testing centers. And, if you mention that you have a new rash, I know they're particular about who they think they should test. And so, but this may be an indication that you really might want to get tested.
Oh, that is fascinating. Very interesting. And, I talk about us wearing masks, but you're right. There are so many healthcare workers with both Essentia and Sanford in town that do have to wear those, medical grade masks and gloves. We didn't even really talk about the latex gloves as well. So lots of side effects and issues, and we're thinking about those frontline workers.
Absolutely.
Dr. Matheson, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Matheson with Catalyst Medical Center and Clinical Spa. Great information as always.
Thank you, Lisa. Take care.
You too. We'll be right back here on North Dakota Today.